Both Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon are getting a bunch of requests to be NFL head coaches. Philadelphia's playoff path, what's the easiest route to get to a Super Bowl? And ESPN busts the playoff myth for every single playoff team. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are having a great day overall. It's a quiet day overall for Philadelphia. A lot of the players are coming back in. They have a couple of days off, and so it's not necessarily a heavy week, obviously because Philadelphia doesn't play for another week and a half. But there is an update in terms of the NFL coaching search, which does involve two of the Eagles head coaches, or two of the Eagles, I should say, assistant coaches, and Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. And the odds are they're not only going to interview a bunch this week, but might even be hired this week. Let's go to the story here. Bleeding Green Nation has the write-up, quote, Eagles received 3 head coach interviews requests for Shane Steichen, 1 for Jonathan Gannon, with an update. So here's the update on Shane Steichen. Quote, Shane Steichen is drawing the interest from both the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts, and the update is the Carolina Panthers are also requesting an interview with Steichen. It's not hard to see why he's a popular candidate, given the Eagles' offensive success this season. Steichen was the play caller for an offense that set a new franchise record for total points scored. While his acumen shouldn't be in question, remains to be seen if he will impress teams in an interview setting. Steichen hasn't always come off as the most charismatic presence, but is clearly going to get a chance to make his case. It would be kind of weird if the Eagles head coaching connection kept going. Indy hired former Eagle offensive coordinator Frank Reich, only to see the Colts offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni get replaced. Nick Sirianni replaced Doug Peterson in Philadelphia, only to see Reich replaced by Sirianni's offensive coordinator. Go figure. If the Eagles lose Steichen, they have 4 potential in-house candidates who stand out. Passing game coordinator Kevin Patullo, I think is how you say his name. Quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson, consultant Marcus Brady, and running back coach and assistant head coach Jamel Singleton, and quote. So a couple of options there. Obviously, if you were to lose Shane Steichen, we'll get to Gannon here in just one second. I do want to mention Steichen's going to interview with every single head coach opening. He's going to be one of the hottest candidates, I think, in the National Football League. And this happens for pretty much any offensive coordinator in a top offense who is calling plays each and every year. I think Brian Daboll last year, right? Calling the plays for the Buffalo Bills. He's one of the top offenses. He developed a young quarterback. That's what a lot of teams are looking for right now, and that's what they should be looking for. I'd be shocked if Steichen ends up staying. I think it would take him interviewing very poorly, but a lot of head coaches do have poor interviews and still get the job because it's not an interview job, it's a head coaching job. So I'll be shocked if he actually stays. What I'm very curious about is how much interviewing he does this week. If you think about it, Philadelphia, if you're Shane Steichen, you have a great opportunity because it's a bye week. You don't know who you're playing yet to take a couple of interviews now, the way you get him out of the way, and then you can refocus on whoever the divisional round opponent is. So in terms of replacements, I really think that Brian Johnson and Marcus Brady are your top 2 in-house candidates. They mentioned 4 right here, including Jamel Singleton. I think the 2 top, in-house guys are Brian Johnson and Marcus Brady, but that'll all be determined and figured out once Shane Steichen officially leaves. Now, moving over to Jonathan Gannon, he has had 1 official request so far, and this is a quote from Bleeding Green Nation. Prior to Lovie Smith officially getting fired, there was a report that Gannon is a top candidate for the Texans job. Gannon sort of strikes me as the opposite of Steichen in that there is more confidence in the charisma than the acumen. The Eagles' 2022 defense has been very successful in many regards. At the same time, it doesn't always feel like that's the case. Fan sentiment reflects as much. Excuse me, there's a poll here showing that 18% would be sad if Jonathan Gannon were to go ahead and go to the Houston Texans. Now, if he is going to leave, the in-house options are, as you see here, Denard Wilson, the defensive passing game coordinator and D-backs coach, consultant Vic Fangio, obviously a fan favorite, and defensive end outside linebacker coach Jeremiah Washburn, with obviously Fangio being kind of the top guy. Now, Gannon will get more requests as well, but he was tied to the Houston Texans last year, and so it's no real surprise after firing Lovie Smith that his name already popped up. Here are your current job openings, according to ESPN.com. There will be more. Let's just make that clear. Arizona fired Cliff Kingsbury yesterday. An interesting job, but a tougher job because you are locked into Kyler Murray. You have to love Kyler Murray in order to go ahead and go to the Arizona Cardinals. And you might lose DeAndre Hopkins because they have an out on his very expensive contract, and they got to pay, Kyler a bunch of money this year. So it's intriguing, but it's also very tricky in terms of that one. Houston is a great opening. They showed some grit. They showed they have some defensive pieces. I think Jalen Petrie was one of the best young defensive players in the National Football League this year, and you're going to go ahead and get a clean slate at quarterback. You basically are guaranteed to have either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, and so if you are trying to hire a head coach, Steichen to me makes more sense here than Jonathan Gannon because Steichen you would want to pair with a young quarterback the way you can mold them together. Denver is also an opening, but much like the Arizona Cardinals, it is a tricky one because you have tied to Russell Wilson. You have to love Russell Wilson in order to do it. It's the best roster out of the 3 openings that we currently just showed, but it is one of the more tricky ones because you have to be able to prove that Russell Wilson is not broken. He is actually fixable because they paid him an absolute insane amount of money. Indianapolis is also tricky because of where they're sitting in the NFL draft right now. They're probably not going to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud unless they trade up, but you got to find a quarterback there because what we've seen the past couple of years, it's really a quarterback-hungry franchise that has not gotten it right since letting go of I'm blanking on it right now. Letting go of Andrew Luck. Carolina, another one of those openings where you need a quarterback, but they obviously make a lot of sense in terms of signing somebody. So you could go ahead and have a quarterback in mind. You want Jimmy Garoppolo. It makes sense for Carolina. They really need to go for an offensive-minded guy. It sure seems that way. The defense has been playing very, very well over the past couple of seasons. They have a lot of good defensive pieces, but Carolina going for an offensive guy I think would make a bunch of sense. Now, there could be some other head coach openings. Dallas is a very real possibility. We talked about how, Mike McCarthy, a little bit on the hot seat if they get rolled or they lose ugly on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That could be an option, but right now, only having 5 or 6 openings, normally there's about 7 in the National Football League, so look for 1 or 2 more firings. Now, again, Philadelphia, the odds of them losing both these guys, I think, is pretty strong, but I honestly think Philadelphia is going to be okay in terms of promoting from within. I think the coaching tree that is being built in Philadelphia and has been built the past couple of years is very strong. And while Steichen, losing him would be an absolutely huge blow, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say losing Jonathan Gannon wouldn't be. I think Jonathan Gannon has really great potential, and I think that he could be a really good head coach, but from a defensive coordinator perspective, excuse me, he's lacking a little bit, getting over COVID here. He's lacking a little bit in terms of his play calling, and it's frustrating Eagle fans. And that poll from Bleeding Green Nation mentioned it, right? You need somebody who can fully maximize this defense, and I think that even though the defense is very, very good this year, Philadelphia could have a much, much better defense next year with a little bit different of a play caller who might just be a little bit more aggressive. That's why Vic Fangio, I think, makes a lot of sense for a lot of people regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. So let me know who you guys would like to be the replacement for both of these coordinators. Is there a name that you love right now? We'll obviously keep this updated. This will be a lot of new news and new interviews over the next couple of days, and so stay tuned for that. Okay, quickly, I do want to mention the Vig It Fantasy Sports Betting League that I have for the Thomas Mott Show. A bunch of you guys have joined, and the leaderboard is taking shape here. This has been pretty fun, and we're going to do it all next season. So if you don't know what this is, first time watching the show, it is a fantasy sports betting app called Vig It, and you use my link down below, and it automatically signs you up for my league. Now, the number one question is, Thomas, what is the passcode to get in? It's gobirds. That's down below too, all lowercase, all one word, gobirds, and it's totally free. Everyone's like, what, am I betting my own money? Like, how is this free? It's free because you get 250 or 2,500 coins each day to bet on whatever games you want, and then it ranks you in a leaderboard. And at the very end, after the Super Bowl, there will be an overall, cumulative winner, and that winner will go ahead and get a Eagle jersey of their choice. That's kind of the incentive of playing in this league. Again, you're not betting your own money. And so it's totally free whatever state you're actually in. So right now, Dalton Lee, congratulations. You are the leader right now, 2,300 coins. But there's plenty of time to go ahead and surpass that because you get 2,500 coins to bet every single day. You see me? I'm starting to make a little bit of a run here, 37th, but I'm in the positive in terms of wins, 14 and 13. I was struggling with some NBA bets in the past, but again, very simple. Go to the betting tab, shows you all the different stuff that you can bet on for today. I do a lot of NBA stuff during the week, and then I go to the National Football League stuff when we actually get to Saturday. So jump in on the Vig It app. It's a bunch of fun, and a lot of you guys have signed up and are having a lot of fun. And it's kind of see, who's the best virtual bettor, because, of course, it is all free. Okay, let's go ahead and move over here to a couple of other quick things regarding Philadelphia and the National Football League. Delaware Online has an interesting article looking at the Philadelphia possible opponents in the divisional round. And speaking of divisional round, tickets officially went on sale today, although if you're like me, you got them early on like SeatGeek and they lock your ticket in. So hopefully you're able to get a ticket. If you're going to the Eagle game, let me know. I'd love to link up in the divisional round. But, excuse me, as you look at the playoff picture here, it's interesting to see who the potential for opponents. And we talked about this yesterday, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into this. Obviously, the Bucs are a possible opponent. Seattle is a possible opponent, Dallas is a possible opponent, and the Giants are a possible opponent right now. Now, Delaware Online gives you, a little breakdown, of course, of each team, and, would you rather play them or not? As I look at this, my ranking is very, very simple. I think the scariest team to play is Dallas right now. I think from a Philadelphia perspective, they struggled against Dak Prescott. For as bad as Dak has been, at times this year, leading the league in interceptions, the scariest team in terms of playing in the divisional round would be Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Number 2 for me would 100% be the New York Giants. I think the divisional round, or the divisional aspect of that opponent, would be a little bit difficult, and they've played pretty darn well. And I think Philadelphia has a better chance against the Giants, as we saw in the past, than Dallas, but I would still put the Giants as number 2. Number 3 for me would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's the Tom Brady factor, right? Now, you don't think in a head-to-head matchup that Brady's currently constructed Bucs would be able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, but you got to remember, this would be Brady coming off of a win against the Dallas Cowboys, meaning he's flying high, they got a little bit of momentum, and he's Tom Brady. The last time he played Philadelphia, he lost. A little bit of vengeance there. So, not scary roster-wise, scary because of the GOAT. I put them as the third, into scariest, I should say, in the list of playoff teams. Finally, it is Seattle, and it's no disrespect to the Seattle Seahawks. They run the football very well. They have some weapons there. Their defense is a little bit lackluster, and they still have a bunch of bad losses. And Geno Smith can give you a bad game any given time here. I don't think they're going to be an opponent. I think they lose to San Francisco. Even though I mentioned yesterday, it could be, a possible win there. But I would go ahead and put Seattle in at number 4. Just based off the fact that, when you slide in as the 7th seed, the expectation is you're not going to go on the road and not only beat the Niners, but then come on and beat the number 1 seed in Philadelphia. So I'm curious where you guys would rank this. I still think Dallas. I know we hate Dallas, and Dak is, struggling going into the postseason, but I would definitely put them as the scariest team right now. Okay, final article here quickly from ESPN.com, kind of ties in the NFL national story. It's on ESPN Plus, debunking myths, why you're wrong about all 14 playoff teams. And I was like, okay, I started reading through this. It's very interesting, but let's just go down to Philadelphia here. Myth, the Eagles' defense was exposed while Jalen Hurts was out. They say Philly lost both of the games Hurts missed in Week 16 and 17 because of his shoulder injury, giving up combined 60 points and 732 yards. Not a great sign for a team with the Super Bowl aspirations as it makes its way towards the postseason. Not to go all Micah Parsons on you here, one of the things that was supposed to be true about this Eagles team was that it has a super strong roster without any major holes around its emerging young quarterback, and the defense would be good enough to hold up and deliver with Gardner Minshew. Why this is wrong? Well, the top-line numbers look bad. The Eagle defense wasn't that awful in the games against the Cowboys and the Saints. Philly defense allowed 4 touchdowns to Dallas and 1 to New Orleans. One of the Cowboys' 4 touchdowns, 2 came on drives that were less than 50 yards long off of Eagle turnovers. A Philadelphia team that turned the ball over just 13 times in its 14 games, turned it over 5 times in the 2 games Hurts missed, including 4 against the Cowboys. Assuming the turnovers have returned to normal while they're starting with their starting quarterback healthy, Philly turned it over just once on Sunday against the Giants. The Eagles should be fine. The defense is quite fearsome. Through Week 17, Philly was on a streak of 5 straight games with 6 sacks or more. It was the longest such streak of all time. Of the league-leading 70 sacks the Eagles had through Week 17, they got 53 with a 4-man rush, 15 more sacks with a 4-man rush than any other team has had since the start. Stat has been tracked, end quote. And so, this kind of, puts a little bit of fire on the idea that Gannon's defense is terrible. They were put in some pretty difficult situations, but still, I would push back a little bit here and just kind of mention the fact that Dak Prescott was carving this defense up, regardless of a short field or not. That is why I mentioned earlier, the Cowboys are still probably the scariest team Philadelphia will have to face in the postseason, at least in the divisional round. And then, obviously, the 49ers are the scariest team overall. So, plenty of updates coming up the next couple of days and weeks. Hopefully, they'll be a little bit healthier as well as we go ahead and try and recover from COVID. Thumbs up for that. And make sure to subscribe to the show. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one.